sharing your film with us. When you did the intro earlier, you alluded to an extenuated production process. I think you said 8 years. Would you like to tell us about what happened over those 8 years?
Yes, sure. 8 years of mostly, this was always for me the biggest project that I had done or was going to do and will do. And 8 years was the research, the writing, and the financing of it, because it's an immense project for us in Palestine. We don't normally work on this scale. So that was part of it, and then so it was always difficult when we finally were ready to shoot. We had all the financing, and you could see by the very long credits the number of people who were involved in this film. We really wanted to be ready for it. The team, the crew, we're pretty much the HODs, myself, we all live in Palestine, and we'd never done anything like this before, and we wanted to do it well, so we started prep really early. We started prep about 10 months early, and because we had to find a village, we restored that village. We planted crops that Palestinians were planting in the 30s. Costume, all the British military vehicles and weapons. We had to create, we built all of that at an ironsmith, those big tanks and all of that, we built it. There was some stuff, there were some things that were World War II, but things really changed after World War II in terms of the way weapons and machinery and vehicles looked, and I really wanted everything to be correct. So we were finally ready to go, and then first day of shooting was October 14th, 2023. The whole cast and crew was on the ground. We were ready to go, and October 7th was knockout, complete knockout. And we were not able to film, and we lost all our locations and all of that work and everything.
Where were these locations at the time?
So we were based in Bethlehem. The village was in the northern West Bank, outside of a village called Salfit. Several different locations around. We had Jerusalem, we had Jaffa, we had a lot of other places in between. And so we waited. We didn't know what to do and if we were going to be able to continue and how and where. And so we thought, okay, we've really, all our lives we've made films in difficult conditions. It's part of who we are and how we deal with things is creatively to find solutions. It's never been easy. But we didn't have any concept that how really dark it would be, and that we were on an onset really of a genocide, and it was going to be much, just 2 years. I can't believe 2 years went by with everything getting worse and worse. So we eventually, and my producers and financiers were like, "You have to shoot. We have to make the film, and we have to spend that money. Otherwise, you're going to lose that money. We've already lost a lot of money with that whole, everything that we had prepared was gone." So I was getting proposals to shoot in Morocco, in Malta, in Cyprus, in Greece, and like a lot of other places. And I just couldn't do it with this film. I felt like it was a lie. The crew had worked so hard. It's the land is a big character in the film, and I didn't want that to be somewhere else. And we live in Palestine, we work in Palestine, why not? But it became impossible. There were locations that became impossible. Eventually we went to Jordan. We shot a big part of it in Jordan. And then eventually, I just, out of stubbornness, kept insisting that we have to finish the film in Palestine. I didn't want to shoot Jerusalem anywhere else. I didn't want to shoot a lot of that anywhere else. So we eventually did come back in November 2024. We were a smaller team, smaller crew, but we managed to do it. We managed to finish it. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, I think we stopped and started production maybe 4 times because, of course, regionally things also spread and got worse. It wasn't better in Jordan at some point. It was all a mess.
Yeah, and it seems in that story that there were several years at Light It where you were just doing the fundraising, just to do something at this scale.
Yeah.
You also, I mean, we have Jeremy Irons in this, Liam Cunningham. What was the process like getting these, Hollywood associated actors involved in this project?
I'm really lucky that I have the cast that I do, because they're really small roles in some cases, and there's just amazing cast who wanted to take those roles, even if they were small, because they believed in the project. Jeremy and Liam are two of those people. Liam is very connected to Palestine and very active. For him, it was a no-brainer. And he wanted to, and he was very interested in the fact Tegart, who suggested the wall, the first person who had this proposal to have a wall, was actually Irish. So it was a nice role for him, and it's just that one scene. Jeremy and I were on a jury together in Berlin in 2020, and we got along very well. And he had his wife with him, who's Irish, and I was telling him about the project one night at dinner. And then she basically said, "Jeremy, you better do this film because you owe it. You owe it to them. You have to do this film." Yeah. And so Jeremy was great. And actually, after October 7th, when everything fell apart and we didn't know what we were doing, we lost everything, and everything was like happening on the ground was so much, obviously worse and not even. It was like, why are we talking about a film? Like our people are, it's like awful. But Jeremy sent me a message. I will never forget it because he said, "Annemarie, don't worry, just tell me where to be and when. I'm with you." And it was really, really a beautiful thing. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's many years of Palestinian resistance you could have chosen to set this story. Why was 1936 the starting point for you?
I think 36 is something that all Palestinians have a story with. All of our parents or grandparents were somehow, it really was a nationwide revolt, and across classes, from the villages to the cities. And I've always heard about it, and then I started, researching and digging into it, and I found I hadn't realized. I'd heard about all the heroism of it, but I hadn't realized how really violent it was. I started going to the British, historians and reading, and this incident in the village at the end with the bus is a real incident that happened. And I was like, wow, that was not in 1948. That was in 1938. That was 10 years before the Nakba. And that all the things about occupation that we live today, all of it was set up then at this moment. So it felt like a really modern story and a really critical one, and one that it was not possible to understand anything about now, today, even about 1948 or even about 67. None of it is without understanding this moment.
And then part of bringing this moment alive is that colorized archival footage you have in there. What was your process in acquiring that, selecting it, restoring it?
Yeah, the footage, the archival footage was so integral to the research phase, because I could see the world and I could look at things and see what people looked like and what things they wore, and it was really important in the writing. And then we needed it later with my production designer and costume design. We really we looked at our archives constantly. I mean, the women's demonstration, and if anyone's seen images of that demonstration, it's almost they're just even the same. We really, we loved the freedom of fiction, but we really tried to be true to all these little details of it. So archive was integral for that, and the British have filmed everything. They really have everything, and so there was tons of archives. And then it was also part of the script that I wanted to have to go during the story, to go back to archives, because I felt that they really made the world. It really showed the world that the characters lived in. You could see it, you could feel their world, because those places are gone and that world is gone. And I don't have the kind of budget where also I can put 500 people on the street and shoot those scenes. And so I wanted to use it and not have it black and white. So I asked that they we colorize it, and I really pushed for that to be colorized because I wanted it to also feel like the characters and like the story alive and moving forward, and not like when we go to archive we have black and white, so we're going backwards in time, or it's like a reminder of, oh, this is how it was and now we continue with the story. I wanted it to just keep moving with the story. And I fell in love with the archives colorized. I think it's incredible to see the like people's faces, like you can almost like the material that they're wearing, like all those details, the color of the walls. Every time I watch the archive, still I see something different in it. I focus on a different person in it, like some tiny child, moving this way, or a woman walking this way. I love those archives.
What you just said about seeing it move and move forward, it makes me think of the ending of the film. I feel like I just skipped the whole movie, but I want to ask about the ending, because your last shot is of a young girl running barefoot towards something that we're not aware of. And if you just go back, a moment or two, you have two other characters sort of going off into the world, and we're not sure where they're going. What were you thinking as you came upon that ending?
For me, I wanted to have that open. For me, Khulud leaving and then finally, coming down those steps and leaving her husband up there and then disappearing into the crowd. And the brother who we've forgotten about because he's been in prison for so long, and then you see him and he's changed and you can feel that he's changed. All of them, and they don't connect in that moment, but there's something happening. And for her, the girl, it was for me, I leave it open. I really want it to be open. I feel like I know where she's going, but I know other people have different interpretations of where she's going. But I wanted to also land the film, like end the film, I guess, on that. There's a hopefulness in it. There's possibility in it. There's resilience in it. And that, for me, that last shot is resilience. Of like, just we keep going, we keep living this story, but we keep going. We've been living this story as Palestinians since my grandparents, my parents, now my daughter. It just keeps going, and I wanted to end it there. I couldn't, I didn't want to end it in like this awful situation of the village. What happens there?
Yeah, no one's standing still.
Yeah.
In the end. We're going to open up to audience in one moment. I just want to ask one more question about watermelon pictures, which I noticed some people cheered for when they came up. In my side of the business, I've noticed watermelon really filling a void in the distribution landscape. How has it been working with them?
It's been amazing working with them. We were towards the end of our financing stage before we shot, and Watermelon Pictures showed up in our lives. And I never thought that there would be a Palestinian-run distribution company in this country. And it's always been hard to distribute our films here. This is my fourth feature. Every film is such a struggle. Either they don't get distribution, or it's very limited, so Watermelon it's a game changer. Actually, they're doing amazing work, and they care, and that's at the end. I think the most important thing is that to have people who are part of a project that really care about it, and it means something to them on a very personal and emotional level, is better than anybody who's. It's another job. Yeah, I'm very happy.
Yeah, and I realized I didn't mention that this is the Palestinian submission for the Oscars, and this is actually this is Annemarie's fourth Palestinian submission for the Oscars. Actually, unfortunately, we're out of time. But Annemarie, thank you so much for sharing your film and for being with us.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor to be here.